Good morning. We got
Morning.
intros
morning.
today. Great.
The wheel has changed. Look at this. What happened?
Yeah,
I
if
saw
you're
him in the
wondering
intro, but I don't know where he is.
if you're wondering who Will is, he did not move to Switzerland and change his name. We have a special guest on, but Will is a little under the weather this morning, so we welcome Michael and Jerome. We'll introduce Jerome here in a second, but Michael, how was the week last week?
It was good. It was a good week. It's now ending and finishing everything. It just still push a little bit, small changes still what we want to push. Talk about more also in the disruption report what I did for the team, and just the end of the year, right? Just now really prepare yourself for we want to prepare ourselves for recovery, but if you see what's happening in travel now and what's happening in the world, it's heavy, right? So just still, we were hoping that recovery could start maybe the end of the year or beginning of the year. If you see what things moving now, I just gave a quote to the Telegraph in the UK about what I think is going to happen. But it's weird times. Still, what I really appreciate is the motivation and the enthusiasm within the team. But I'll also share something during the disruption report. And again, it's like I'm really looking forward to 2021. Going to be a crazy year again, especially the beginning. But I think a lot of things will change in travel. So
I think
going to bring us.
The themes of some previous episodes carry on of flexibility. And without flexibility right now, being a travel-based company, you're certainly not going to make it very far. So remain flexible and we'll get through it. It does seem a little more grim than it was a few weeks ago when we were celebrating the news of the vaccine, but still hopeful that it all comes out on the more favorable side.
I'm checking now real time what does Airbnb does, because we discussed, of course, Airbnb the last weeks, but it's still quite high. I think it's still close to the opening amount. What everybody's expecting would go down after 1 week. You as well, I remember. But it went even quite up like last days. Now it went a little bit down again, but still it is still impressive what you see. And even in pandemic, when nobody travels, that a company like this is just evaluated high. But we discussed a lot about Airbnb. Let's make it the last time we discuss today Airbnb. Let's maybe address this one.
I don't know if it can possibly be the last time we discuss Airbnb on a travel-based show.
No, today. Let's do it for
today. Yes, that works.
Cool.
Cool. Well, let's jump into the quick segments and then we'll introduce our guest.
Cool. Hi, good morning. We're starting with the startup of the week. I choose a Swiss startup because also later we discuss about an online hotel school, which is also based in Switzerland. So, just make it pretty Swiss today. I choose for the Trip Boutique. It's founded by Fernanda. I spoke to Fernanda several times. And actually what they're doing is pretty cool. They're building actually a platform, an advisory platform for travelers where you can say, okay, I want to go to a specific place. And from there, they ask you quite a lot of questions based actually a combination of AI and human expertise. And actually, they generate for you an itinerary. So in the end, you just know where to sleep, where to eat, where to go. So it's really nice what they're doing. Actually, they're going quite quick. They get some funding recently as well. I really like what they're doing, actually. So also within Bidroom, we're discussing now partnership with them to see, okay, how can we integrate some functionalities of them. I'm really impressed with what they're doing. I think they have a great founding team. Fernanda is great. She really understands the industry really, really well. And for sure recommend to follow the Trip Boutique. I think they will, especially now when things now, of course, are hectic in travel, but I think when recovery, people need more planning, they need more expertise. So Trip Boutique is for me the start of the week. Also want to discuss some events. Of course, it's the end of the year, so it's going to be a little bit less active with events. I did on Tuesday, I was presenting for 17 universities, and the same time for the Berlin Business School of Innovation. So it was pretty cool to do, actually. So I shared some things how I think recovery could look like. We discussed the pandemic from different areas. So don't do specifically on travel, but more about general opinion. And actually, what was really nice, still wearing a Christmas jumper, getting into the Christmas atmosphere now. But last Friday, I didn't want to share it last week, but now I did. now I can. Last Friday, I was driving around completely dressed as Santa Claus. If you want to see how I look like, check my LinkedIn profile. I was driving around actually the city center, visiting many people from the team, give them a cool bedroom backpack full of cool goodies, and as a surprise. So I surprised many of them. Unfortunately, I couldn't visit all of them because it took me quite a long to even visit some of them. But it was really nice to surprise them. There were some of them that were shocked that I was standing in front of the door. Actually, one opened and half naked, so that was a bit scary. But besides, it was really nice to do. I surprised some people. And also in here, I want to compliment the whole team of Bidroom, what they did last year. It was a crazy year, as I calling this. It was pretty hectic, but still, when you see them also in the monthly update and the meetings we had last week, you see their positivity, their belief that they want to change something in the industry. So I'm really proud of them, what they did in 2020. And you see actually that they're really ready for 2021. And hopefully, well, we'll see, but hopefully things will come back to normal. None of us knows. I was hoping it will be the beginning, but seems to be a bit later. But this is my update for now. Again, I want to thank the team for what they achieved last year, and go back to your grandma.
Grandma, I'm going to miss you at Christmas this year, but we'll get together soon as that vaccine comes out. This week, I want to quickly cover something that it's going to lead more broadly into our topic of the week. But I woke up to an email from Simon Lehman and Natasha Morgan last week about a segment that they've done for Hotel.School, which they were kind enough to include NoiseAware in. And they're doing education, not just for hotels, but for vacation rentals and the tools, how to use them, the must-haves to safely and efficiently operate short-term rentals. So kudos to those two, as well as the broader Hotel.School team. I think this initiative is super, super interesting. We've got a much longer segment to cover on it today, but honored that we would be included in something like that. And I wholeheartedly believe that noise monitoring is not a nice to have, but a must have for short-term rentals, especially. And as hotels become more and more tech forward and staff light, I think we'll start seeing its applications be more important there as well. But without further ado, would love to bring the rest of the group back and introduce Jerome from...
That was a cool intro.
Jerome, you're on mute, but if I'm mispronouncing your name, maybe it's best you stay on mute. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys, and thank you for having me. It's really an honor to be part of your show, and thanks for inviting me to talk a bit more about Hotel.School.
Glad you could join. It's something that we mentioned an episode or two back, but figured it warranted an entire segment. So I guess give us a quick overview of where the fit in the market is, how the ideas came about for I believe you're on the board. So tell us a little bit about the story.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we'll do. So, well, for the last 11 and a half years, I've been in hospitality education in Switzerland, with my last position being the executive director on in the academics field at the Swiss Hotel Management School. And as a school, we've been always progressing with technology quite a bit, and seeing how we can actually leverage technology to create more personalized learning experiences for students, and actually enhance for them their learning experience. We became, for example, an Apple Distinguished School for the way that we are actually using technology in the learning process, and this has always had a lot of interest. And I see that that there's a lot of very interesting opportunities that are arisen by the application of technology in the educational field. So when the time was there, and Hotel.School reached out to me and said like, hey, would you like to be engaged with our new project? I was super interested because Hotel.School is really leveraging educational technology to provide quality hospitality education for a very wide audience. So the idea is to really democratize education, where the traditional schools, how great that they are more catering for quite an elite few or students that can actually access this type of education, and they're not really in the process of making this education available for a wide audience. And this is really what Hotel.School is aiming to do by using very creatively the technology that is now maturing and becoming available to provide this access to to professionals all over the world for their upskilling and reskilling purposes.
Because it's a Swiss company, right? So this is a specific reason why you choose Switzerland. Well, because we all know that the Swiss hotel schools, I always make the example, startups are famous in Silicon Valley. Is Lausanne the Silicon Valley of the hospitality education?
I think so. I mean, if you think about, Swiss hospitality education has a special ring to it. I mean, I think that people working in the hotels, they always know, it's like, oh, you've studied in Switzerland. They're like, wow, that's, and there's quite a few hotel schools here that are obviously quite famous and quite highly ranked. SHMS as well is in the top 5 worldwide. They all are here around the same region. Well, Switzerland's not that big anyway, but they're all around here. Of course, Lausanne is synonymous with EHL, which is of course one of probably the most famous hotel school in the world. So for us it was only logical to actually base ourselves here in Switzerland and to build a little bit more also on the traditions of hospitality education in terms of the certain skills and competencies that are important. Think about emotional intelligence and problem solving and all those thinking on your feet, etc. Those things are part of our program, but at the same time trying to disrupt this a little bit by really creating this access to this education that is global, and not for the elite few, but actually really for a very wide audience. So for us, this is just a logical place to be, right here in the heart of the birthplace of hospitality education, let's say.
Well, what is the biggest difference? Because of course you can record a lesson from a teacher of EHL or SHMS or anything. So what is the biggest difference if you compare the courses or the curriculum on Hotel.School compare with it in traditional school?
Yeah, all schools, I think, around the world, they, because of the pandemic, they found themselves in a very peculiar situation because they needed to go from face-to-face education to some form of different delivery. And what basically all schools have done is to create a remote teaching experience, and that is not quite the same as creating high quality content with certain interfaces like questions and exercises that are self-paced. So with Hotel.School, what the product is actually not a replication of a classroom where you're sitting in a classroom and listening to a teacher for an hour, but actually micro learning modules where you take a bite-sized 10-15 minute lesson where you have there's a part of the video which is actually created to instill an emotional connection with the person that is actually teaching you. So it's kind of a conversational style in the way that the videos are recorded, but that is then blended with different types of exercises, questions that reinforce learning. And that methodology is actually quite different than what you see otherwise. So 15 minutes every day bite-sized type of learning, so that you can stay current and attuned with what's actually happening outside in the industry, which we all know is essential for people to upskill and to reskill and to remain current. That is what this product offers. So it's quite a different type of experience in that way.
Because there's written brain-based, sounds really cool, but what is brain-based?
So brain-based is based upon the methodology that we use. So we use an application called the AGES model, which is an educational model that incorporates different types of neuroscientifically researched learning enhancement. So what this is really about...
That sounds really cool, actually. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but it's basically in terms of how do you space the learning, how do you make sure that you use, for example, emotions in the learning process, how do you make sure that that you keep the attention by focusing very much on the learner and the way that the videos and the scripts are created. So this is all based upon neuroscientific research that we've incorporated within the program, really to enhance your ability or students' ability to learn the most impactful and efficient way in a very short time frame. I mean, it is much more impactful to learn, in short, bite-sized lessons where you have some reinforcement questions going on, instead of listening to a teacher for. So, in this way, it's actually a much better way of learning. Now, at the same time, we see that the industry is rapidly evolving. Technology is making a huge impression in the industry, as you obviously are very well aware of. Means that the people that are working in the industry, they continuously need to keep themselves up to date with what is actually happening and how things are changing. And for that purpose, there are not so many solutions out there. I mean, there's different training programs, etc. But Hotel.School really fits a very specific vacuum that has been created for this this upskilling and reskilling of industry professionals, and that's why we're anticipating quite some growth with the business.
But is the growth also mainly coming because of the pandemic? Many hotels in the industry many hoteliers or people who work in the industry sitting at home. You see something from this because, of course, other people, they are on furlough or lost their job, and that's At
this moment of time, it is, of course, people are unfortunately out of jobs, which is terrible, of course. But it is a good time to also kind of go back to school and to maybe take a course and to make sure that you keep current with what's happening. Take a new course to develop some new skills, and this is what Hotel.School is offering at this time. We're actually giving away free courses to people that have been hit by the pandemic. They may have lost their job. They can apply for courses, and we provide them for free at this moment of time. Really, because we want to democratize. We want to give back to the industry. Help the industry along in that way, and hopefully people that are now, let's say, need these courses in the future, they will think of Hotel.School again in their upskilling, reskilling needs in the future to be.
A few questions here. First, the target is maybe people that don't have access to the high levels of Swiss hospitality schools to have initial baseline learnings, and then to also continuously educate, like really anybody in any elite fields would, to make them better and stay up to date with technology and methodologies. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. We're not replacing the traditional, let's say, bachelor program. This is not what we're in it for. So, you could still go to a hotel school, and after you graduate, that actually your learning only really starts at that moment of time. That once you came out of college, that's where you really start learning, right? So, in that way, for that type of learning, there are not that many solutions at this time. So it is, in a way, it is for people that maybe want to progress their career, that maybe want to go to a next step. Think about somebody who's working in the front office, who wants to go into revenue management. There's courses for. At the same time, we're seeing that vacation rental is a very important part. It's an industry that also requires maybe some further educational programs, and it is something that maybe has lacked a little bit on that front in terms of education is not really available for it. So we saw that, and we saw that as a great opportunity to partner with AGL and actually create vacation rental courses for the industry, because we saw that also there's this upskilling and reskilling need. And as you're well aware, noise aware was also featured in one of the courses. So I think that in general we're heading towards a reskilling revolution. We know that people need to continuously reinvent themselves and learn on the go and have access to immediate learning solutions, and that is not something that a traditional bachelor program or even a master program will offer to you. So in this way these will coexist beside each other.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, I guess, was the hospitality is very unique that it takes a lot of interhuman capabilities, and something that medical school, for example, like a lot of it is behind the books and studying and learning, but it's tough to teach the bedside manners, right? and hospitality, like you can tell when you go into a hotel, and that place has been groomed by someone who really understands hospitality versus someone who, may have not gone on and gotten an education within hospitality. It is night and day. And so I guess that answered one of my questions, which is how do you replicate the bedside manner, if you will? But you're not there to. The design of Hotel.School is not to teach that type of thing. It's to teach.
Not really the vocational side of things. No, but the thing is that the things like emotional intelligence are actually things you can also learn. It sounds a bit dubious or strange, but you can actually learn this quite well by taking an online course. It is all about understanding how you reflect on your own behaviors, how you reflect on on the things that you say, the way that you say them, and providing the right context for people so that they can actually put this into practice in real life. You can actually enhance those human skills through online education without a problem. And even more, technology is now actually becoming of age that by measuring we were not doing this yet, but we're hoping to do this in the future. Measuring intonation, you can actually measure if somebody is developing their emotional intelligence skill set. So this technology is revolutionizing the way that people learn, and the way that we can actually provide a very personalized learning experience to students. Now, where one person is maybe already further ahead in their emotional intelligence skill set, we can actually tailor the program for their needs and differently for others. So this technology is becoming very, very interesting to provide creative learning opportunities for students.
Well, Michael said in this case, when you're just studying medicines or anything, it's a lot from the books. And in this case, yes, of course, it's a lot of practical stuff. It's still online. I just noticed, for example, when you're looking at the instructors, or on your website, you call it SMEs, experts. Yeah. So this is you're using people from the industry. I saw, for example, distribution, somebody from, I think, IHG it was. So why you choose, in this case, people who are actually not get used to, for example, to teaching? Because, of course, it's different than you're teaching on daily basis, because you know how to bring information to someone, and you're choosing to choose people from the industry.
Yeah, it is... this starts with the fact that it's not intended to... the product or Hotel.School is intended in addition to your bachelor or your prior education, right? So, once you're in the industry, we all know how important it is to actually have good mentors, people that are mentoring you, that are giving you, the deeper insight about, decision making on strategic level, and, making you think in a slightly different way. And that is what Hotel.School does. We take people that are specifically attuned to, the way that things are happening in the industry now. Think about, revenue management is taught by a VP of revenue management from Hyatt, and you have distribution delivered by a VP of Intercon, who's actually doing the course. So you really get very interesting first-hand information from people that are really with their boots on the ground, that know what is happening, that can really help you, develop the skill set that you need to make it within that field. And that is, of course, a little bit different than you have maybe a professor who has not been in the industry, who may not have that type of exposure, which is also very valuable, because you also need to perhaps develop your general transferable skills, let's say through your bachelor program. Then afterwards, that's when you really need to seek out these mentors, and that's what we can offer with Hotel.School.
But like now, for example, I fully believe that things change now, right? And then people sitting at home, or they want to upskill, reskill. But I think in 10 years from now, well, I guess we're out of Corona at that time. Let's hope so. Let's hope nothing new appears from somewhere. But let's say in 10 years, you think in 10 years this will be still the trend, or you think education will be in general, so not specifically hospitality education, but education in general, you think it will be look different in 10 years?
I think 10 years is maybe not that long. If you think about it a bit longer, perhaps, then one thing that is clear is that digital innovation is going to transform education, no doubt. Right? There's no doubt about it that this is going to happen. This means that you will have products like Hotel.School, but also other self-paced, asynchronous type of learning solutions that will pop up everywhere, and you will see that the traditional schools, they will need to also infuse more of the technological solutions to provide this personalized learning in their curriculum. This is going to happen. So I think that the times of slow moving, technophobic schools, that those times are over. Right? This is going to revolutionize how education is provided. And if you look at edtech as a sector, has been in existence for 2 decades, but it's only really now that the technology is coming of age, that it's actually providing learning experience that can surpass what a teacher could do in a classroom with 20 or 25 students. Because of that fact that you can have a very clear visibility on your skill development, you can have a very personalized type of learning where you get questions or material offered to you that you particularly need, individually. That is the type of learning experience that can now be offered with the technology that's coming available, and that is going to provide an enhanced learning experience. No doubt about it. And I think
in 25 years, it's only VR and AI, or
no, I don't think so. I do think that the technology with avatars, etc. This synthetic video content, that there will be some very interesting usage of that in the hotel industry. In the educational industry. I'm not sure if that will be in 10 years or closer to the 25 years, but there will be this personal avatar that can teach you probably. But when is the question?
So I got 2 questions for you that maybe get to know you a little bit better. First of all, what is your favorite course within the Hotel.School? And what is your favorite hospitality moment throughout your career? Story that you've heard or...
Oh, wow. Okay, well, let me start with the story, because the other question is quite a difficult one, because we are working with industry, professionals.
Pick a favorite.
That makes it. Well, my favorite story out of that's something that that I experienced when I was working with Marriott in London. It wasn't actually me, but it was something that I've overheard happening in the workplace. Was that we had a waiter, and this gentleman was very smart and very tuned, and he was a great guy working in a 5-star hotel restaurant in central London. And we had 4 guests at the table, and they had a fantastic meal. And at the end of the meal, he served them coffee. And while he was walking away, one of the guests on the table became very upset, and he called the waiter, said, "What? Come here! What is this?" And the waiter said, "What is it? What's going on?" And he showed him his coffee cup, and in his coffee cup there was a little rubber ring that fell out of the coffee machine. So he took the coffee machine thing out, and the rubber ring fell in, and on the bottom. So he drank his coffee, and this little rubber ring was on the bottom. And as smart as this gentleman was, the waiter, he said, "Oh, but sir, are you not aware?" I was like, "What do you mean? What am I not aware? Are you not aware that we do this every night with one guest, and the lucky guest gets their dessert and coffee for free?" And of course, the guest he kind of knew that he was probably not telling the truth, but he was just so disarmed by the way that he brought this, that this is something that would always kept with me. It's like these type of moments can make or break a guest experience, and where you make from an let's say a potentially very damaging and bad moment, you have the service paradox. You can actually create a very loyal guest out of it, because those guests, they came back after every time, always asking for that waiter, because they just enjoyed the way that he spoke and dealt with them on that situation.
Maybe it was your dad, Michael, because your dad is only staying in Marriott, right?
Yeah, it could have been my dad.
And then for the favorite course, I think that so far from the vacation rental collection, I think that we have we have 2 very good courses there now, and there's another 4 that are coming available over the next 4 weeks. I think that those ones will actually be some of my favorites for the fact that they will really help an industry and have a very interesting know-how that can be shared with an industry that can benefit from it. Let's say. So I think that my favorite at this moment of time is the vacation rental collection.
Interesting. All right.
So what's your goal for next year? So imagine we have a call again in December 2021. So then you're much further, all the courses are completed. Where do you think Hotel.School will stand at that time?
So we are launching a Swiss Master Hotelier program, which is a collection of 24 self-paced virtual courses that you take 10-15 minutes every day, and that actually is based upon a master program, but then taken away all the things that are not relevant. So it is really, again, industry professionals that are delivering these courses together with people from our side that are co-creating them, and this can be seen as a very effective postgraduate or master level type of education, and I think that is going to be quite an interesting value proposition for people in the industry that want to have more, instead of one specific thing, more of an all-round understanding of different areas within the hotels. So it covers from the finance side to the human resource side to F&B, all kinds of different sectors, and that will be a great program for people that want to progress into more senior positions in the hotel industry. We're launching that now in January, and it will become available, or the courses will come available over the next year. So by, let's say, this time next year, the whole program will be finished, and then I can tell you how successful it was. But I'm very looking forward to launching that program.
Cool. Is there a big final exam?
There's no final exam. No.
All right.
Because you want to have the answers, right?
Music to the ears.
Maybe if you play your cards right. No, we have now the way that the programs are designed is really to for individual learning. So we're not wanting to be the ones that are standing there with the traditional schools. That's not what this is for. So all the way that the quizzes and the tests are created is for formative learning. So if you provide the wrong answer, you actually get an explanation of why this was wrong, and then you can learn from it and then continue. That's the way that the program is designed. So no heavy exam, no GMAT type of things. That's not going to happen. No.
Very cool. Well,
for the listeners, I'm just thinking for sure we call it Good Morning Hospitality. So I guess a lot of people who listening to us, they're in hospitality. Can you do something for them? Some discount or anything? I always try, right? I'm Dutch. I always try to get discount everywhere. So maybe also for the listeners.
But of course, for people that are now in the industry and that listen to this podcast, you are passionate about the hotel industry and vacation rental as well. We can give away 50 free courses for Good Morning Hospitality. And of course, if you are in a situation that you've lost your job, or in a situation that you can actually not, or you want to learn more, you want to use this time in the right way, of course, we're very willing to help as well. So just reach out and we will sort you out for sure.
Cool.
Very cool. Well,
so what are you going to do, Michael? You going to do one?
I've started one, but I think to me, I'm super interested in the way that hotels do things. I'm not necessarily in the weeds on how things exactly work in vacation rentals, but I've got a nice broad view of it. I'd love to learn more on the hotel side, and I think there's learnings that can go both ways. There's a lot of things that hotels can learn from short-term rentals on technology, for example, and then vice versa on hospitality and service and revenue management and things like that. So I wonder how you guys potentially look at cross-education from the two segments.
Yeah, that's a good one, and I think that's also the state or the place that we are with the industry now, is that line between vacation rental and the hotel is blurring. It's not really there anymore. Of course, there are different type of businesses that need to be run, but all the big players are now also into vacation rental. Marriott and Accor, of course, just announced as well that they're into it. So in that way, I think that this is becoming a more acceptable and accepted and big part of the hospitality industry, and where certain things are quite different. If you think about revenue management in a hotel, it's very different than within vacation rental, just because of the way that the business is. But still, there's great opportunities for cross exposure and to learn from each other in that way. The personalization of vacation rental versus maybe the business side of how hotels have been run and the standards that have been set. So there's probably some very interesting overlap there. And for us at Hotel.School, we don't see them as separate. We see that as hospitality, and in that way, they're for us they're part of the same overarching group, hospitality. So we have courses for both.
I hope you're not making too many hotel people upset by saying that.
No. I like we said, all the big players are going into vacation rental now as well, So in that way, if you can take the hotel experience and put it into a very personalized vacation rental home, I mean, isn't that a fantastic opportunity? I mean, it's I would want them.
Absolutely. And being able to use points, I mean, that's a huge thing as well. Loyal travelers tapping into different types of properties. So awesome. Yeah. Well, I think we're running out of time here for the segment, but fantastic work on helping get this up and off the ground and bringing it to market. Kudos to the team, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been really cool to dive deep into Hotel.School and what we're trying to do. So again, if there's people of your listeners that would like to take a course, please let them reach out. And like we said, the first 50 you will get a free course from us.
I will be the first one. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.